There is a room where no one speaks. It has no door you can see, no window that opens to relief. You enter it the moment you stop lying to yourself, the moment you realize comfort has made you weak. Miyamoto Musashi lived in that room, not because he wanted peace, because he understood that softness is the first enemy, the one that kills you slowly, the one you invite in with every excuse, every hesitation, every tomorrow. He walked alone for decades, not because he hated people, because the crowd drowns the signal, because most men are echoes of other men, and he refused to be an echo. You think solitude is loneliness. It is not. Loneliness is weakness, dressed as longing. Solitude is the furnace, the place where everything false burns away. Musashi chose the furnace. You have not. You wake to noise, notifications, voices that are not yours. You scroll through lives that are not real. You consume opinions you did not earn. By the time you stand, you are already defeated. The war is not out there. It is in the space between your intention and your action. It is in the gap between what you say you want and what you actually do when no one is watching. That gap is where you die. Musashi knew this at 16. He killed a man in a duel and felt nothing. Not pride, not fear, only clarity. He understood that strength is not emotion. Strength is the removal of everything that is not necessary. You carry too much. You carry the need to be understood, the need to be seen, the need to be right. These are chains, and you polish them daily. Discipline is not a routine. It is a refusal to negotiate with the part of you that begs for rest before the work is done. A refusal to comfort yourself with lies about tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is only the blade in your hand and the choice to swing it or set it down. Musashi swung every day, in rain, in silence, in caves where no one knew his name. He did not train for applause. He trained because the alternative was to become soft, and soft men die without knowing they were ever alive. You think you are awake. You are not. You are half asleep in a world that rewards distraction. You mistake motion for progress, noise for substance, comfort for peace. Peace is not comfort. Peace is the absence of internal conflict, and you are full of conflict between who you pretend to be and who you are when the door closes. Musashi had no door to close. His life was the open road, the empty dojo, the cold morning. He did not perform discipline. He lived it until there was no difference between the man and the practice. You perform. You post about your goals. You announce your intentions. You seek validation for the work you have not yet done. This is not strength. This is the begging of a child who wants approval before effort. Approval is poison. It makes you dependent. It makes you weak. It turns your practice into performance. And performance is not mastery. It is theater. Mastery is silent. Musashi never wrote about his duels while they were happening. He did not document his suffering. He did not brand his solitude. He lived it, endured it, sharpened himself against it until there was nothing left to remove. You are afraid of removal. You hoard comfort. You collect excuses. You build elaborate justifications for why today is not the day. Why this moment is not the moment. But this moment is the only moment, and it is already passing. The mountain does not care if you are tired. The blade does not care if you are afraid. The path does not pause for your hesitation. Musashi walked that path for 30 years. 60 duels. No defeats. Not because he was born different, because he refused to negotiate with weakness. He saw it in himself and cut it out. You see it in yourself and feed it. You feed it with distraction, with comfort, with the small voice that says, you have already done enough. That voice is a liar, and you know it, but you listen anyway. Because listening is easier than walking. Musashi walked through winter, through hunger, through the silence that makes most men collapse. He did not collapse. He did not soften. He became the thing he practiced. You practice nothing. You dabble. You sample. You try for 3 days and quit on the 4th. You mistake interest for commitment. You mistake excitement for discipline. Discipline is not excitement. Discipline is the decision to continue when excitement is gone, when the newness fades, when the work becomes repetitive and cold, and no one is watching. That is when mastery begins. Not in the moment of inspiration, in the moment of refusal. The refusal to stop, the refusal to soften, the refusal to let comfort dissolve the edge you are trying to forge. Musashi forged that edge every day, in silence, in solitude, with no audience, no reward, no promise of recognition. He did it because the alternative was unacceptable. The alternative was to be like everyone else. Soft, distracted, half alive. You are half alive. You know it. You feel it in the mornings when you reach for your phone instead of your purpose. You feel it in the evenings when you collapse into distraction instead of discipline. You feel it, and you do nothing. Musashi felt it and swung the sword, again and again and again, until the sword became an extension of his will, until there was no hesitation between thought and action. You hesitate, you pause, you reconsider, you wait for clarity that will never come. Clarity is not a gift. Clarity is the result of action, of repeated, ruthless, uncompromising action. You want the result without the repetition. You want the mastery without the suffering. You want the edge without the grind. There is no edge without the grind. Musashi understood this. He did not seek comfort. He sought sharpness. And sharpness requires friction, requires resistance, requires the willingness to endure discomfort until discomfort becomes irrelevant. You avoid discomfort. You optimize it away. You build your life around its absence. And in doing so, you build a life that is soft, weak, forgettable. Musashi's life was unforgettable, not because he sought fame, because he sought mastery. And mastery leaves a mark on the world, on history, on the self. You leave no mark. You drift. You consume. You react. You live in the gap between stimulus and response, controlled by forces you do not name. Musashi named the forces: fear, hesitation, comfort, distraction. He named them and destroyed them, one by one, in the silence of his own practice. You do not practice. You wish. You hope. You plan. But planning is not practice. Planning is the lie you tell yourself to delay the work. The work is simple. It is not easy, but it is simple. Show up every day, in silence, with no one watching. Do the thing you said you would do, not for applause, not for validation, for the edge. The edge is everything. Without it, you are dull, harmless, invisible. With it, you cut through the noise. You move with clarity. You act with precision. Musashi moved with precision. Every strike deliberate, every step intentional. He wasted nothing. Not time, not energy, not motion. You waste everything. You waste time on distraction, energy on worry, motion on performance. And at the end of the day, you are no sharper than you were at the beginning. Sharper men do not happen by accident. They are forged in repetition, in silence, in the refusal to negotiate with weakness. Musashi refused to negotiate. He did not bargain with comfort. He did not make deals with distraction. He did not promise himself he would start tomorrow. He started, and he did not stop. For 30 years, through failure, through hunger, through the cold certainty that no one would remember his name if he stopped. He did not stop, and his name endures. Not because he sought it, because he lived with an edge that could not be ignored. You can be ignored, because you are soft, because you hesitate, because you live in the space between intention and action, hoping someone will pull you across. No one is coming. Musashi knew this. He did not wait for a teacher. He became the teacher. He did not wait for permission. He gave himself permission, through action, through discipline, through the ruthless elimination of everything that was not necessary. You carry the unnecessary. You carry doubt. You carry fear. You carry the weight of other people's expectations. These are not yours to carry. They are distractions. And distractions are the enemy of mastery. Mastery, requires subtraction, not addition. The removal of noise, the stripping away of comfort, the clearing of the path until only the essential remains. Musashi walked the essential path. No excess, no ornament, only the blade and the will to use it. You have the blade, you have the will, but you do not use them. You keep them clean, safe, untested. A blade that is never used, dulls from neglect. Swing it, every day, in silence, in solitude, with no one to see, no one to judge, no one to applaud. Swing it until the motion is effortless, until there is no gap between thought and strike, until you are the blade. Musashi became the blade. You are still holding it, waiting for the right moment, the right conditions, the right audience. There is no right moment. There is only this moment, and it is already fading. Act now, or remain soft, remain weak, remain invisible. The choice has always been yours. Musashi made his choice at 16, and he never looked back. What will you choose?